One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7 days are done of our daily creative challenges, and we have just 2 more challenges to go. Hello, my name is Andrew Hockrattle, and I am your host, guide, and investigator detective for your daily creative challenges. Now, if you're just joining us, hello, welcome. You've joined us on what is the 8th day of our challenge, what will be our 7th challenge. So hello, everyone. Let me know where you're watching from in the world. Lots of friends in chat. We have Steve, our friend Wade. Christelle was on this morning. Scott, hello Scott from Costa Mesa, not too far away. But thanks for joining us. These are, again, the daily creative challenges for Adobe Illustrator. Now, chat, I want to ask you something real quick. If you have been joining us for the daily creative challenges, what's something you've learned? Drop into chat and let us know something that you've learned within these challenges over the last 2 weeks. We have just a few days left, so let's hop over and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some things that are coming up today and tomorrow, and then about some new opportunities from our friends at Adobe, as well as how you can get involved better with the community, especially here on Behance, watching on Adobe Live. So, hello from Vegas. Hello. I will be there in not too long, just a few weeks here. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is something that's very exciting coming up today that you can sign up for, and Wade is going to drop the link for us, and it's right here. It's the Adobe Experience Lab coming up a little bit later today at 3 p.m. You can go ahead and register for that right after the last stream of the Adobe streams today. So register for that. Nick Longo and I will be taking you through the top 10 tips to improve your portfolio. So it's free, so go ahead and drop that in. Lots of people, yes, extrude bevel, 3D, everyone loves the mapping art of the 3Ds. Yes, of course. And hello, Mr. Mark Bowden, bracing for a little bit of wind I see out there in Bermuda. So make sure that you register for our Experience Lab happening today. Turn on that reminder, set it on your calendar. And also, there's some great new Keith Haring brushes out. If you know about Keith Haring, he was an incredible artist and he believed in creativity and art for everybody. So we have released at Adobe a great pack of Keith Haring brushes. You can come here and you can download those brushes by just adding them to your library. So check it out. All right, let's go ahead and hop over and talk about how you can get involved with what's actually happening here, and that is the Daily Creative Challenges. Every day, you can come over here to the Daily Creative Challenge, and you can click on this button. It will remind you that there is a new challenge live, and you can see all the challenges that we have done. Yesterday we did the monochromatic effect, and if I refresh this, custom brushes, yay, that's what we're doing today. We are doing some custom brushes, one of the most requested things in Illustrator. We'll do scatter brushes, pattern brushes, art brushes, all kinds of brushes today. We're going to get a little crazy and hopefully catch our suspects and make an arrest today. So if you haven't joined us, again, we are on a detective theme. Now, if you want to watch past ones, you can right here by clicking on any of these buttons to watch the video or get started. Today, you don't really need the source file, but it would be great to have just because. You also can join our community right here at bit.ly/AI Discord. That is the Discord where we are posting our work and giving reviews. If you were up nice and early this morning, I did a nice little review session very early this morning for all of our friends. And I've seen a lot of people posting more work into our Discord. So thanks so much for being a part of this. And thanks especially for making scenes. I love things when I see them like this, that we've taken the challenges, put them all together, and really taken them to another level to create a scene and make them your own. So keep investing in your own education. I will try to give you a platform and really push it as far as you can, because you'll learn more that way, and hopefully it'll be more fun. So let's go ahead and hop into our lesson. Of course, we have to give a call to our friend, Detective Hawk. I'll see you guys in a second. All right, we are back and we are in detective mode. That's right. I promised you that I would make the costume change at least once, and guess what? We did it. I am so proud of myself for what just happened. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into our lesson today. We are working with brushes. It's going to be a very fun day. Lots of intricacies, lots of specialties today, and we need to think of these brushes as if they are the real world. So think of things in terms of patterns and scatters. Those are going to be the two things that we really work with a lot today. So patterns and scatters. And yes, Julie, we did it. I'm so excited that we actually pulled it off and made it happen. So let's go ahead and hop into our lesson right here. They are on the run. Follow the tracks and try to catch them. But the thing is, we don't have any tracks yet. We need to create them. So we are going to create a custom brush and add a unique flair to our own paths. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to try to track down our perpetrator, our person that we're trying to catch that has stolen all this stuff from us. Now, there's some great tools in Illustrator. We can use the pen tool by hitting P or going over here to the pen tool, and you can click and drag kind of the areas that you want to go. So this is one way to do it to make some paths, is just clicking and dragging, making some really weird wonky paths. That is one a way to do it with the pen tool. The other way to do it is to go ahead and grab the brush tool, which right here is B, brush tool. And we are going to click, am I on a weird layer? Let's see what happened with our brush tool. I think I'm just on a weird layer. Layers, start a new layer. Well, what have I done with the brush tool? Yo, did I? I literally was just testing this and everything was just fine. Paintbrush tool. All right, let's try this. Let's make a new document and see if this helps at all. There we go. There we go. We'll work on this one. Not sure what happened there. So we'll work here using the brush tool, and we are going to click, and again, you can see that the brush tool is much more organic. So where the pen tool, you have to click and drag out individual little pieces. The brush tool, you can just grab hitting B, and you can just swoop wherever you want, and it will help to even those out. And yes, very, very easy to use the brush tool. So let's go ahead and start grabbing and start making something for us to follow, right? And we're thinking from maybe a top-down view. And designing is much like building a hamburger, right? You have to start with a good bun and then add the toppings on top of that. So, and yes, the download source files are empty toward the end of the challenges because I'm going to walk you through how to build all the elements yourselves. I don't want to give you too much because we've learned so much, and I want to help you facilitate to make your own thing. So yes, they are empty, but they do have the briefs on there for you. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to make a background, and this is just doing our base. We're going to make a rectangle, and this feels like a pretty good base, and we're actually going to lock this. So we're going to go to Object and Lock. We're going to lock the selection right there. So now we have the background. We can't select it, can't do anything weird to it. And what I want to do is think about making a sidewalk, right? Maybe we want a sidewalk that we're following our person on, that they've kind of been running on this sidewalk. So if you think about a sidewalk, right, let's imagine it in our brains. If you're walking along, do you ever try to skip over the cracks, right? But what that really is those are just sections that are repeating, right? That it's almost a pattern that is continuing again and again and again that's repeating. So we are going to make a pattern brush that looks like a sidewalk. So really all that a sidewalk is, right, is we have a square, and that square maybe has some kind of outline on it, right? So we want the actual square to be a little bit darker, maybe a little bit of that gray. And then the stroke we want to have, let's do just like a black stroke on it. It's too dark. Let's do a little bit of a lighter gray. There we go. So we have a lighter gray. We have our, think of this as a panel, right? A single panel of a sidewalk. So now is where we get crazy. Let's go ahead and select this, and we're going to tell Illustrator to make a brush that repeats this panel. We'll come up here into our brushes panel, or you can also do it over here. There's one that looks like little brushes. We'll actually just float this over here. Why not? Hello, friends. And with this selected, we will click on the plus. That is going to say we want to create a new brush. And from there, there's all kinds of options, calligraphic, scatter, art, bristle, and pattern. We'll be doing scatter, a little bit of art, and then mostly pattern brushes today. So we're going to click on pattern brush and hit OK. It's going to give us an option, and I'm just going to do this as sidewalk. There we go. And there are all kinds of options here. We really don't need to worry about them too much right now. We will mess with the fit a little bit later. The colorization, we may mess with a little bit later in another brush, but right now, because it's a sidewalk, gray works for us. So make sure you name it, and we'll come back and change some of these in a little bit. So we'll hit OK. And now you can see over in our brushes panel, it has made a brush. And what this is saying is basically at each segment of the brush, we want to have this shape. So if we want to do a straight line just using the pen tool, we're going to select that line and then click on this brush. And what it's doing is it's telling Illustrator each of those pieces of that panel are just going to repeat along this path, right? So it's following starting here, ending there. So all we have to do is click right there. And look at that. Now we have a nice little path of our sidewalk. So let's go ahead and apply that to where we want to take our person that we're chasing. So we're just going to take the brush tool here using B, and we're going to draw out really free form, happy trees, really free form kind of what this could look like, right? It's a really weird wonky sidewalk, and it looks a little bit too big. That's fine. What we can do is we can come here and select our brush and then come down to this little panel that looks like kind of a chart with bullets. And this is going to give us all the options for this. So the scale feels like it's a little bit too big. So all we need to do is take this slider and slide it down. As we turn on that preview, you'll see that it starts to slide down. And there we go. We're having less of the weird overlaps and a little bit more of kind of a look of a sidewalk. So from there, we can change the spacing if we want. We can put it to 10 so that we have a little more of a cobblestone effect. Or we can just set it to 0 so that it kind of does overlap a little bit to be like a sidewalk. Now, no sidewalk is complete without some gravel, right? They always have those little kind of splotches on them, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep this path, and we're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to make a bunch of little circles right here. And all that I'm doing is I'm hitting L, which is the ellipse tool, and I'm just clicking and dragging, holding Alt or Option, and that will change it from the center. So I'm just going to make a bunch of these little guys. That guy looks a little bit wonky. So I'll make a bunch of these little guys, and then we are going to select all those and go to Effect, Stylize, Effect, Distort, that's where it is, Roughen. And roughen is something that will take the edges and kind of just make them wonky. We're going to want to choose smooth in the points. And from there, we can change the size so they get more or less wonky. And the detail, we can do the amount of wobbles that we want there. So let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can see the difference. Is now, instead of being just the circular shapes, roughen and changing those settings has made it so that they become weird little wonky shapes. So we're going to select all of these, and I'm going to go to Object and Expand Appearance. So now they are all paths. That's what we want. We're going to group them together. And from there, we're going to click on this plus sign. Again, it's telling Illustrator we want to take this shape, these shapes that we have, hit plus, and we want to make a brush out of them. What kind of brush? This time we want a scatter brush. That means that it is going to take these shapes and throw them all over the place. So we're going to hit OK. And this is the scatter that we want. For now, we're going to leave all of these the same. We'll come back and kind of show how they work, and we'll hit OK. So now we have a nice little scatter brush that actually shows up here. It's a different kind of brush. And so we're going to make a copy of our sidewalk. That's what it's called. And I'm just going to drag it down here so that we can see. And if we click on our little scatter brush that we just made, you'll see that now it has taken those shapes and it has put them along our path. Now with a scatter, we want it to be a little more random. So you can click on, again, that little menu, and it's going to bring up this menu. You want to turn on the preview. And now we can, instead of fixed, choose random. And from there, we can have it go smaller, and it's going to randomly pick a size, right, for those little circles. Our spacing, we can also do random to where they could be closer together, they could be further apart. Our scatter is going to say how much it goes away from the path. So we actually don't want the scatter to go too far. I would say, you'll see as I do this, the scatter will go closer or further away from the path. So we can do the maximum at, let's say, 8, and then the minimum at -4. So it's going to kind of make it a little weird and wonky. And then rotation, we can have this rotate any which way. So we'll do 180, and each of those pods will rotate randomly. So we'll hit OK, and then we're going to drag this back up. And again, all that it's doing is it's taking these shapes that we made and repeating them, randomly scaling them, and randomly rotating them. So we have that. That looks great. And we're going to take this down to about 0.5. There we go. And now we've got some rubble along the path. I'll take the opacity down just a bit so that we see that. And there we go. So now we've got the rubble along the path. And the one thing that we need now is we need to be able to follow the footprints. So let's create some footprints real quick. And you can do that, if you think about it, with just a little bit of a rectangle or a square. We're going to round off these bottom two edges as if they are the bottom of a shoe, right? And then from there, we are just going to, again, make another rectangle. And I'm going to round out the top. And then maybe add a couple little points on either side. I'll pull those in, and then again, round them out. So there we go. We got a weird little foot, but it's a foot nonetheless. So yes, footprints. The plot does thicken. You can do this with footprints. You could do this. Maybe our suspect was eating something and they were dropping little drips. Maybe they were riding a horse and there were horse prints on there. So what we're going to do is we are going to take these feet and we want them pointing in whichever direction that we're going. So from now we're going left to right. So we want them facing left to right, the back on the left, the forward on the right. And we're going to select these and again, come over here to the plus. We're going to make another brush with these. So we are going to create a pattern brush again. And that basically means that we're going to take the one thing that we have and make a pattern of it so that it repeats and goes again. So we hit OK. And from there, you're going to see that we want to call this one footsteps. Oops. And what's interesting about this one now is we want to change the spacing, right? Unlike this sidewalk where we want them super close and almost touching, we're going to change the spacing so that it's further away, right? So it looks like they're taking steps. And actually, let's try this. Let's go ahead and cancel this. And let's move one of these so that it looks like there is a step forward, right? So now we're going to, with these selected, come over here. And yes, he's a man wearing fuzzy slippers, 100%. Again, click the pattern brush, and there we go. It's starting to look in the preview a little bit more how we want it to look. So the spacing, we are going to space out a little bit more, and let's put that at 20%. You can see that it starts to push those out. And the key, the color methodization, let's do tints. So we're going to hit OK. Oh, sorry. And then the other one on the fit, instead of stretching, we don't want to stretch the feet. We just want to add space to fit. So it's going to add space between the feet to make sure that we can fit on the path. So I'm going to make another copy of the path that we have. And again, I'll drag it out here so y'all can see it. And we're going to click on our pattern brush that we just made. So there we go. We have made the footsteps. We are going to take this down to probably a 0.5. There we go. And now we've got some nice little footsteps. And if we want to, I believe that this is going to work. Let's try it. Yep. So we can change using the tints and darken or brighten that however you want. These nice little footprints of him running away. And check this out. If we want to, we can come in here and let's put this over our path. We can, oh, it's multiplied right now. We don't want that. We want it to sit on top. There we go, 100%. There we go. We can come in here and we can space them out, right? So maybe his stride is a little bit longer. We can change the spacing right here and keep going up. And as we do that, let's go to 50. It's going to really space those out. So now he's kind of shuffling along, yes, trying to skip over some of those cracks. And if we want to, we can flip along the horizontal. So maybe he's running the opposite way, right? So maybe now he's running from the right to the left, or he can be running from the left to the right by just hitting this flip along button. And I believe, let's make sure that this is the right one. I believe it's tints. I always get this mixed up. There we go. Yes. So setting it to tints will allow you to change the color on that brush as well. You can change it to any size, anything that you want. And so one more thing, we have about 2 minutes left, is maybe we want to track along. Let's make these black actually let's make these brown. Maybe he had just walked in some mud. Let's go ahead and make sure that we're tracking which way he's going. And we're going to do that very easily by grabbing this path one more time. And we're just going to do a basic brush. So now you can see it's just the path, just a basic brush. And instead of leaving it basic, we are going to make this red to kind of track along. So clicking on the panel over here to make this a red path, we're going to select this path and come over to our stroke panel and click on dashed line. Super easy. You don't have to create a custom brush for this. All you need to do is click on dashed line, and it is going to dash that line for you. Now, if we want to say that he's starting on the left and going to the right, maybe we want to end with an arrowhead. So you can start and make an arrowhead going to the right, or we can see that he landed here. Or we can switch it and have him going to the left. And yes, you could add texture to those footsteps if you really wanted to, 100%. So you can align those either way. You also can align it so that it ends at the end of the path, or that the arrow extends past the end of the path, right? If that makes sense. So the tip of the arrow here is hitting the end of the path, but if we align it so that the arrow starts at the end of the path, it will overshoot quite a bit. So that's a way that you can make a dashed line. If we want to, we can change the sizing of these. So you can make the dashes 6 pixels, 6 points. And then we can also change the gap in between those. So if we want a lot of gap, you can put in 20, and now it's going to be a little bit more of a loose line. So I don't want that. We're going to leave it right here at about 5. So there we go. We have our path, and we can drag this down. Right, line it back up with everything. And sure, let's multiply this since we were working with blending modes yesterday. And now we have a path for our suspect to chase them down and capture them. So that's what I want you to do today is I want you to make some custom brushes. Try to layer them like this. Make your own path. Maybe it's a different story. Maybe use different kinds of footprints. Maybe it's a dog. So experiment and play around with using pattern brushes and scatter brushes. Those are the two big ones that we did today. And then why not throw some arrowheads and some dashed lines on there as well. And what I want you to do is once you're done with that, post right here, bit.ly/AI Discord. That's the place to be. All of our challenges are going down and people are doing them. They're looking absolutely amazing. We'll be on tonight doing some more critiques, so come and hang out with us then. Great job. Some of these people that are posting in here, absolutely love it. So thanks for joining me today. And again, if you want to, you can join us for our Experience Lab coming up a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Wade will drop the link for you to RSVP. And coming up after this, we have an awesome schedule. We have our friend Nick Longo. Oh, this is the perfect thing. So Nick Longo and I are doing the Experience Lab a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Nick Longo is hosting next our friend Jay Master, doing some work and finishing up from what they were working on yesterday. So I'm sure that I will talk about the Experience Lab. I'm sure that Nick will talk about the Experience Lab, and then we will be back at 3 o'clock to be hanging out for the Experience Lab. And then we have the Adobe XD Challenge with Jesse Showalter, our draw along with Kyle T. Webster, and Voodoo Val to wrap up the day. So join us for those. And tomorrow we'll be back at 11:30 with our final challenge. Aww. I'll be showing you how to do graphic styles and patterns. And we are going to be making a super fun outfit for the person that we have arrested today once we caught them and apprehended our suspect. So tomorrow will be lots of fun. Come join us then, and then join us and stick around at 2:30 for Adobe Office Hours. We're doing an XD Spotlight where we can help you learn how to use XD in maybe some unconventional ways. So join us for that tomorrow, and I will see you all for our last lesson. Oh, my heart is sad, but we will celebrate and we'll have a great time. Set your calendars, 11:30 tomorrow as we wrap up the case that we've been on these last 2 weeks. I'll see you all tomorrow. Stick around for Nick. Bye.